The belief that everyone who goes all in on getting rich eventually makes it is a very deadly trap for people who want to become rich, because there is one type of person in this game who almost never makes it, no matter how hard they work or how bad they want it. And that is the person who tells other people about their goals, ambitions and their plans. And no, it's not because telling people about their goals gives them the same dopamine hit as if they had already achieved it, because we've all heard that one before. What I'm about to tell you as a 20-year-old college dropout about becoming invisible is much deeper and darker. And it's something Machiavelli tried to warn you about 500 years ago that you completely missed. And I'm so glad that I understood this before I put all my energy and time into trying to build a business, because if I didn't understand this, I would be probably still working a job right now. So think about the last time you told someone about something you were building. Could be a business idea, a fitness goal, a plan you had. Think about what happened after you said it out loud. There was probably some part of it that felt good about it, right? Like saying it made it real. Like you had declared something and now the universe knew about it, and somehow that was a progress. I used to do this constantly. I would tell my friends, tell my family members, tell anyone who would listen, and honestly for a while it did feel like momentum. Like I was moving towards something just by talking about it. But here's the thing, I never stopped to look at my results. Because if you look at my actual results from every single period where I was out here telling people my plans versus the period where I went quiet and disappeared completely, the difference is so obvious, it is actually kind of embarrassing that it took me this long to notice it. And I want to be clear, the small dopamine hits you get from doing this is one thing, but it doesn't do nearly as much long-term damage as what I'm gonna tell you. I'm talking about the people you just casually tell, your group chat, your family at dinner, the friend you grab food with, the ones who are not in it with you, they're just watching. Because what nobody talks about, what Machiavelli understood way before any of us, is that the moment those people know what are you trying to do, something very specific starts happening to your decision making, that you cannot see it in the moment. And by the time you notice it, you probably have been already losing for months. So let me explain what is actually happening here. Because I think most people who talk about this just say something vague like, oh, your environment affects you and your circle matters. And then they leave it here. And I hate that, because it is obviously true, but it doesn't tell you anything. But here's the thing, usually every action you take when you're trying to build wealth usually passes through only one filter. But when you have this external perception you have to live by, you add a second one. The first filter is, does this actually move the needle forward? But the second filter you add is, does this action make it look like I know what I'm doing? And those two jobs are constantly in conflict with each other. Here's what I mean. When something is not working, the right move is almost always to pivot immediately. That doesn't mean give up, but to change action in a slightly different direction. But if people around you know what you are doing, you cannot just pivot without looking like you failed. So you stay on the wrong path way longer than you should, because changing direction feels like admitting you were wrong. And you already told people you are going to win this way. Now, I know what you are thinking, this isn't me, or he must be talking about someone else. But I guarantee you are the person Machiavelli tried to warn most, because it is usually hard to recall upon. Maybe it's the 60-minute Bible study, knowing damn well you are not actually applying the knowledge during on average Tuesday. Maybe it is that one business model you've been looking into for already a while. Or think about the unsexy stuff, the boring work that actually moves the needle. The stuff that looks nothing like winning from the outside. For example, cold calling with morning breath instead of taking videos of yourself on a laptop from a beach. Showing up and doing the tedious, repetitive thing over and over before anything compounds. When people are watching, you gravitate away from that stuff not because you are lazy, but because it does not look like progress to anyone who is not inside it with you. So you end up doing the things that look good instead of the things that actually work. Now imagine you are making from, let us say, 100 to 200 of these decisions that aren't even yours every month. You are basically rerouting your GPS from your destination voluntarily every few seconds. And then there is the uncertainty. Because building anything real means there are going to be stretches of 2 weeks, sometimes a month, where you genuinely do not know what the next move is, and you have to sit with it for a while and just think. But you cannot do that with people watching, because silence looks like failure to everyone on the outside. So instead of sitting with uncertainty and actually solving it, you fill the gap with visible, busy work. You look productive, but nothing's actually getting fucking done. The people watching you don't even have to say anything. Their existence is enough to corrupt every single decision you make. Because somewhere in the back of your brain, you are always aware that they know. And that awareness is pulling every choice slightly in the wrong direction. Now, here is where Machiavelli comes in, because this is not a new problem. This is a problem he was sitting about in 1500s, and nobody in this space actually talks about the specific thing he said. Most people quote Machiavelli on power and dominance and all of that. And that stuff is real. But the thing that hit me when I actually read The Prince is that one of these core warnings to any ruler who wanted to build something lasting was this: never reveal your intentions before you have the strength to execute them. Once again, never reveal your intentions before you have the strength to execute them. And the reason he said this was not about enemies in a traditional sense. It was about something much more subtle and dangerous. He understood that the moment other people know your plan, they begin unconsciously calibrating their expectations of you around that plan. And then you are no longer just executing, you are performing. You are executing the plan in a way that keeps looking like the plan to people who are watching. And those are completely two different things. One produces results and the other one produces the appearance of results. And I remember when this clicked for me. I was a few months into building my local arbitrage agency, making around 5K a month and trying to build something I had been pretty open about with people around me. And looking back now, I can see so clearly now that I was not making decisions based on what was actually going to work. I was making decisions based on what was going to look consistent to the people who knew what I was trying to build. Like, I could not try a completely different approach without it looking like I'd given up on one thing I told them I was doing. And that is when I disappeared. Not dramatically, I did not announce it, I just stopped talking about it, stopped updating people, let them assume whatever they want to assume. And the version of me that was trying to build something for an audience of the people who knew about it, that version of me got left behind. What came out the other side was someone who was making every single decision based on one thing and one thing only, which is what is actually going to work. So I want you to think about this for a second, because I think this is the part most people miss. When you're trying to get rich in front of people who know about it, you are not just building a business, you are also managing a narrative. And managing a narrative takes energy that should be going somewhere else. Not in a conscious way, like you are sitting there thinking, okay, how do I spin this? It just happens. Your brain is constantly, quietly in the background running the second process of how this is going to look to the people who are watching. And that process is burning fuel that you need for the actual work. But there's even something bigger than the energy cost. And this is the thing that actually knocked me sideways when I sat down and really thought about it. Getting rich, like actually getting rich, requires you to be willing to look stupid for a period of time. Not just uncomfortable, stupid. Like, you're going to have periods where from the outside it looks like nothing is working, because the work that actually compounds does not show on the surface until it suddenly does. The guy who is going to make $1 million this year probably looked like he was going nowhere 6 months ago. And if you need to look like you are not going nowhere because people who know you are watching and they already know you said you are going to make it, then you will never let yourself go through that phase. You will keep doing the visible stuff, the stuff that looks like the progress, and you will never actually make it. That is the trap. You cannot afford to look stupid, so you never do the things that require it. And the things that require it are the things that actually work. Machiavelli talked about this when he wrote about the prince who tries to hold a position through the appearance of strength rather than the actual strength. He said that man is always the most vulnerable because all of his energy goes into maintaining the appearance, and none of it goes into actually building things underneath. And that is exactly what happens when you try to build something in public before you have anything real to show for. Think about someone training for a fight. Not a public fight that people know about, just training. They can try anything. They can look terrible for weeks because there is nobody in the gym keeping score except them. They can throw out a technique that is not working and try 5 other ones. They can throw out a technique that is not working and try 5 other ones with anyone thinking they do not know what they are doing. They can spend their dime on the best boxing coaches and the best equipment without worrying if they have enough money to spend on that vacation. They can look terrible for weeks because there is nobody in the gym keeping score except them. They can throw out a technique that is not working and try 5 other ones without anyone thinking they do not know what they are doing. They can spend their dime on the best boxing coaches and the best equipment without worrying if they actually have enough money to spend on that vacation. Because their only feedback loop is whether it is actually working. Now, take that same person and tell the whole gym they are fighting in 3 months. Suddenly, every training session has an audience. Every mistake is visible. Every pivot they make is something people have an opinion about. And what happens? They stop experimenting. They train in a way what looks like they know what they are doing, not in a way that is going to make them actually look good. Most people never notice this is what happened to them. Or here is more direct version. I had a friend who was trying to build a business I run, which is AI local arbitrage agency. Around the same time I actually was. Smart guy, like honestly, genuinely, probably more naturally talented than me, if I were being honest. Because bro, like you can hear my accent, whatever. And he was very open about it. Posting updates, telling people about his progress, building in public, as people say. And I remember watching him making basically a decision one time where he had an opportunity to completely change his approach to something because what he was doing was not working. And I watched him not take it. Not because he did not see it, because he had already told too many people what he was doing. And changing course was going to look like giving up. So he kept going in the wrong direction for another 3 months until things go bad. So he kept going in the wrong direction for another 3 months until things got bad enough that he had no choice but to pivot anyway. By which point he had wasted an entire quarter on something he already knew was not working. I went quiet the same period and changed my entire approach twice without anyone knowing. Those two things are not unrelated to where we both ended up. So here's the practical thing I want you to leave you, because I do not want this to be another just interesting idea you think about for another 5 minutes and forget. The disappearing is not about cutting people off or being antisocial or any of that. It is about protecting your decision-making environment while you are in the phase where you cannot afford to have it corrupted. There is a period in building anything real where you have to look like nothing is working from the outside. That period is unavoidable. The only question is whether you let people watch it happen, which makes you manage the appearance of it and slows everything down. Or whether you just put your head down and move through it without an audience. Machiavelli's invisible man is not hiding because he is weak. He is invisible because he understands that the moment people can see him, they can influence him, even the ones who mean well. And the work requires him to be completely uninfluenceable. I disappeared for about 12 months. Not perfectly, I was not a monk, but I stopped performing, stopped updating people, stopped making decisions with an audience in my head. And in that time, I went from someone who was spinning his wheels while looking busy to someone making between 50 to 70,000 every single month. And the connection between those two things is not a coincidence. You do not need permission to disappear. You do not owe anyone a running commentary on what you are building. Go quiet, make the ugly decisions nobody sees, and when you come back, the results will say more than any update you could have given along the way. Now, obviously, there is a lot of good business models out there you can use to generate wealth and life or freedom in your 20s. You just gotta be good at determining what business models put you in a position of power and what is the likelihood of you achieving success in this specific business model. But if you're anything like me, you binge Machiavelli videos for motivation and to basically make you feel good about yourself, this is a reminder that at the end of the day, nothing changes unless you actually start taking action on something. So basically, if you want to learn about a local arbitrage agency model, which I used to scale from 50 to 70,000 a month, you can watch this video that pops up on the screen. And I basically break down step by step how you can get started as a complete beginner.